With Divine's grace and Guru's grace only, I am continuing my spiritual journey. And we are seeing some of the qualities of STITHAPRAGNA. Arjuna asked Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita, and some verses in second chapter Gita are exclusively devoted to the explanation of STITHAPRAGNA. And of course, these verses are only for people who are seeking, who want to have progress in spirituality. And I submit my gratitude to the Gurukulam, from where I have got this knowledge, and I am sharing this knowledge with you all for your benefit. As I was benefited by understanding these verses, I am requesting you to go through and contemplate. Coming back, what Arjuna asked Bhagavan is, tell me more about STITHAPRAGNA. We already saw the analysis of sugar crystal, where sugar crystal does not require a sweetening agent to be sweet because it is already saturated with sweetness. It can't be sweetened further. So, STITHAPRAGNA is a person who is happy, does not depend on any other object or situation to make him happy. He is happy for no reason. He gives up desires as they arise in his or her mind. Now, the commentary for this particular context by Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada is like this. As I told in my earlier recordings also, many Mahatmas have written commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and we are seeing only Adi Shankara's commentary. Here, Adi Shankara says how a person who gives up all his desires can be happy. Of course, this question will be in everybody's mind. All our actions are towards making ourselves happy. Either we get something or we do actions to get rid of something. So these are the two types of actions we perform throughout our life. Now, how a person can be happy without satisfying his desires? For this, desire is again dissected. There are two types of desires which come to our discussion. One is a set of desires which are called non-binding desires. Another set of desires, they are called binding desires. As it is non-binding desires are of no problems to us, whereas we have to deal with desires which bind us. Most of us are stuck with this binding desires only. Now we'll try to understand what is a non-binding desire and what is a binding desire. First of all, STITHAPRAGNA is a person who himself does not need any desire to be fulfilled in order to be happy. So all his desires are non-binding desires. One can have non-binding desires because desire to write, desire to teach, desire to do something worthwhile. For instance, Lord himself drove the chariot for Arjuna. If he had no desire to talk, Bhagavad Gita would not have come. So every desire need not be given up. If a desire is not there, a wise person will not resort to teaching. So a non-binding desire is not discussed here. It's a binding desire which is discussed here because desire which binds us. Let us try to understand by more example. What happens is, any binding desire, if it is not fulfilled, anger comes. And if it is fulfilled, we become greedy. If we observe our lifespan, I think whole life is gone in fulfilling our desires only. So what is the difference between STITHAPRAGNA and others? STITHAPRAGNA gives up desires that are binding in nature. Desires to become someone. All the time waiting for something, and if something is available only, they'll be happy. The list of binding desires, if I start, I think it will become an endless desire. Right from childhood, I think this particular verse should be told for every human being. That's the feeling I get whenever I go through this Lakshana of STITHAPRAGNA. Because it is so obvious when we see the current situation. Parents are quarreling for marks with the teachers, and people are fighting for promotions. And they have kept a lot of situations expecting which they have kept their life and their happiness also. So binding desires will give us only sorrow. And this sorrow is also from 3 types of sources, which Bhagavan is going to tell Arjuna later. Right now, we are dealing with this binding desire. Desire which binds us is like Agni or fire. The more we give, fire has no satisfaction. It eats everything. So once we understand this, then we'll start working towards contentment. So from binding desire, if we switch our lives to non-binding desires, then life will be more pleasant. That's why these principles are very necessary for everybody, and Bhagavad Gita and everyday life, right from childhood, I feel is a necessity today. As we saw, just as the sweetness of sugar cannot be improved upon, the STITHAPRAGNA is a fulfillment of all desires. So, he is not bound by binding desires. He does not feel the need to be improved upon. He is happy with himself. He feels he is complete. So, how he responds to the world, how he interacts with the society. Some more points are explained here. Since he is free from longing, fear, anger, etc., because he doesn't have binding desire, so anger naturally subsides. Only if the objects of desire are not available to us, we get angry. But STITHAPRAGNA is not affected by the binding desires. He does not have anger also. Sorrow or happiness do not affect him. Now, why do we get sorrow? Again, we are going for understanding further classification of sorrow. There are 3-fold causes of sorrow. One is defined as Adhyatmika, second is Adi Bhautika, and the third is Adi Daivika. Adhyatmika, under that, the sorrow comes through our own body and mind. Problems which are within us, that gives us sorrow. Second type of sorrow comes from outside us. From outside we get disturbed by people. It could be anything. It could be anybody. Relatives, neighbors, in office situations. Many people will come into our life and we get sorrow through them. Third is external conditions like rain, cyclone, earthquake, etc. We have no control on them. So sorrow comes through those situations also, through these natural happenings also. But Stithaprajna is not affected by the sorrow coming from all these sources. So Bhagavan describes the qualities of Stithaprajna in quite a few verses in second chapter Gita. And then for a spiritual seeker, it is a must that they try to understand these verses and try to adopt them also in our lives. We can compare ourselves and examine us, and we shall put hard work towards becoming a Stithaprajna, which is very important for getting the knowledge of Atma. We'll see some more qualities of Stithaprajna in the coming episodes.